Errors in the workplace are generally minor and manageable, such as inaccuracies in customer orders or omissions in spreadsheets, and are often quickly rectified. However, there have been instances where workplace mistakes have led to monumental financial repercussions. These include costly errors like the Piper Alpha oil rig catastrophe and the collapse of the Hanshin Expressway. This article highlights 5 of the most financially impactful blunders recorded in history. Number 5. MV Prestige. In November 2002, the oil tanker MV Prestige was carrying 77,000 tons of heavy fuel oil in the sea when it encountered a storm. Unfortunately, the vessel burst a tank on November 13th off the coast of Galicia, Spain. The crew tried to dock to reduce the damage, but the Spanish, French, and Portuguese governments refused. Consequently, on November 19th, the vessel sank completely, about 130 miles off the coast. As a result, an estimated 17.8 million gallons of oil spilled into the sea, polluting thousands of miles of coastline. Over 1,000 beaches on the Spanish, French, and Portuguese coasts suffered. This incident became the largest environmental disaster in the history of Spain and Portugal, with the amount of heavy fuel oil exceeding that of the Exxon Valdez incident. In 2013, a court ruling put the overall cost of the disaster at €368 million, which is about 494 million USD. After the incident, the captain of the vessel was arrested. However, in 2013, 3 High Court judges found that it was impossible to create any criminal responsibility for anyone on board the ship at the time of the disaster. The captain was found guilty of disobeying government authorities who wanted him to take the tanker as far away from the coast as possible. As a result, the captain, who was 78 years old, was given a 9-month suspended sentence. Further investigation revealed that the vessel was structurally deficient and should never have been out to sea in the first place. Number 4. Kobe, Japan earthquake. On January 17, 1995, a 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the city of Kobe, Japan. The earthquake only lasted for about 20 seconds, but that was all it needed to devastate a city requiring decades of repairs. While numerous buildings were destroyed, one of the most substantial damages to occur was to the Hanshin Expressway. This structure was the main transportation route between Kobe and Osaka. While the structure should have ordinarily survived such a quake, research that went on after the quake found that the expressway had an inadequate structural design. This stemmed from insufficient and prematurely terminated longitudinal reinforcement, insufficient shear capacity, and inadequate coop anchorage. The collapse of this structure made headlines all over the globe. Many people were caught off guard, believing such expressways to be safe. 10 spans of the expressway ended up getting knocked over. It took over a year for the structure to be rebuilt, and it officially reopened on September 30, 1996. The estimated total repair cost to get the Hanshin Expressway back up and running was $4.6 billion. It ended up only being a small fraction of the total cost, the earthquake cost. When looking at the damage caused as a whole, some estimates put the repairs at $200 billion, but expressways can be rebuilt. The 6,434 individuals who lost their lives, nearly 4,600 of them in Kobe alone, can never come back, but the region was resilient. For the 3 months following the earthquake, 1.2 million people volunteered as part of the relief efforts. Number 3. Piper Alpha. The Piper Alpha was an oil platform situated in the North Sea, approximately 120 miles away from the coast of Aberdeen, Scotland. It was originally designed as an oil-only platform, but gas production was added to its capabilities over time. Unfortunately, in 1988, a catastrophic event occurred due to a simple error that led to the platform's destruction. On July 6, 1988, a pump's pressure safety valve was removed for regular maintenance, and a temporary disc cover was used to seal it. Clear instructions were given that the pump should not be turned on under any circumstances. However, during the shift change, the instructions went missing, and the on-duty custodian did not inform the incoming shift about the condition of the pump. As a result, the pump was turned on, causing an explosion. The temporary metal disc could not withstand the overpressure, and gas began to leak out at an incredibly high pressure, leading to gas fires on the platform. Tragically, 167 men lost their lives in the disaster, which is estimated to have cost 1.7 billion euros and is one of the most expensive man-made disasters in history. An immediate inquiry was launched to investigate the cause of the disaster and prevent any similar incidents in the future. In memory of the lives lost, a memorial depicting 3 oil workers was erected in the Rose Garden at Hazlehead Park in Aberdeen. This is a heart-wrenching story that could have been prevented with better communication between the 2 shifts. Number 2. Lake Peigneur. Lake Peigneur was a lake located in Louisiana. It had a maximum depth of 200 feet, making it the deepest lake in the entire state. For many years, it was a popular destination for sportsmen until one fateful day in November 1980. On that day, an exploratory drilling company that operated on the lake accidentally drilled into a salt mine owned by the Diamond Crystal Salt Company. It wasn't long until the entire mine started to fill with water. The ensuing sinkhole swallowed the entire drilling platform, including 11 barges that were holding supplies for the drilling operation. It also took with it numerous trees, 65 acres of local terrain, and a tugboat. So much water was removed from the lakebed that the flow of the Del Cambra Canal was reversed. This caused saltwater from the Gulf of Mexico to instead flow into what used to be a dry lakebed. Fortunately, all 55 employees who were in the mine at the time of the disaster were able to get out safely. No human lives were lost. In the aftermath of the sinkhole, Texaco and the drilling contractor, Wilson Brothers, had to pay $32 million to Diamond Crystal. They also had to pay an additional $12.8 million to a nearby plant, nursery, and botanical garden for out-of-court settlements to compensate for damage the sinkhole caused. In addition to the costs, the event also permanently impacted the local ecosystem. It changed the lake from freshwater to saltwater. It also increased the overall depth at the deepest point of the lake. Number 1. Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. On Saturday, April 26, 1986, one of the most infamous man-made disasters occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the city of Pripyat. A safety test was being conducted on the RBMK-type nuclear reactor to simulate an electrical power outage and help develop a safety procedure for maintaining reactor cooling water circulation until backup generators could provide power. However, during the test, a gap of around 1 minute caused the nuclear reactor core to overheat. The residual rotational energy of the turbine generator was expected to provide sufficient power to cover this lapse, but the power unexpectedly dropped to a near-zero level. Operators could only restore partial test power, which put the reactor in an unstable condition. Despite not knowing the risk, the operators continued with the test. Once the test finished, they triggered a reactor shutdown, but a combination of design flaws and unstable conditions led to a nuclear chain reaction. Approximately 49,000 individuals had to be evacuated from the area, with most of them from the nearby town of Pripyat. The exclusion zone had to be expanded, which resulted in an additional 68,000 people being evacuated. 2 members of the reactor operating staff were killed in the reactor explosion, and 134 people had to be hospitalized due to acute radiation syndrome. Out of those people, 28 died in the days and months following the meltdown. Moreover, an additional 14 suspected radiation-induced deaths from cancer followed in the next decade. The Chernobyl disaster remains the worst nuclear power plant accident in history, both in terms of casualties and cost. The cleanup efforts were initially estimated to cost 18 billion Soviet rubles, which would be around $68 billion adjusted for inflation. The costs are still ongoing, with between 5 and 7% of government spending in Ukraine related to Chernobyl recovery activities. The payments of social benefits to about 7 million people throughout Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia make up a significant portion of these costs. If you have any suggestions for other man-made disasters we could cover in the future, please let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tune in next time.